Okay. Fair enough. Hey, it's time for children's story, and for those of you that don't consider yourself identified as children anymore, you're still welcome to be part of it. So yeah, kids, come on up. And we're going to start over on this side here. Right over to here. Okay, anyone else who wants to identify as a kid? I mean, there's a lot of advantages to identify as a kid. You get to eat macaroni and cheese, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, ice cream all you can eat before you have your broccoli. Yeah, guys, over here, okay? We're going to do this side. Okay. So I've got a little problem with tape right now, but yeah, over here. Yeah, you can try. Okay, everyone over here. Okay? Yeah, consider those chairs. Hey, I could interview you guys about food. This would be fun. So over here, you see that box over there? That's home base, or that's kind of safe, okay? And I want you to stand over here on these dots. Okay? Yeah, stand over here. Yeah, on a dot. Find a dot, okay? Yeah. Hey, do we have any more kids, or we're at 5 today? 5, good enough? You do have more kids? Okay. There's a baby coming. All right. We're getting there. Well, while we're waiting for the kids to come, adults, what are you scared of? You're scared of snakes. Anyone else, what are you scared of? Big cats, like big cats. Okay. And what are you scared of? Yeah, you. Yeah. War, okay. The big things, okay. Hey, Tony, are you scared of anything? Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Macklin. You're old, so I call you Mister. What are you scared of? Okay. You don't know? Well, think about that. You're scared of frogs. I'm scared of the dark, so I brought a light, okay? All right. So for you guys here, we're going to have a little story here. We're going to start with something. So if you would, all stand over here and look at the screen for a moment, all right? And I want you to do is think of it this way. You're going to see something on the screen. Oh, that's this title. We'll get to the next one. And then you'll look at the screen. If you see something you should be scared of, I want you to run over here to the safe zone, okay? So the important part is you want to make sure you don't hurt anyone when you're running, okay? So run carefully. Oh, that probably means you're in a bad place to be eating food. Okay, so the first thing is, let's take a look at the screen, and am I in danger? What do you think? Yeah.
They can sting me.
They can sting you. Okay, fair. Let's go back. Okay, only if you bother them? So if you don't bother them, then they're safe?
If you don't bother them, they won't sting you.
Okay, so a little bit of cat like that. Okay, so next slide. Are we ready? Okay. Oh, hi. Okay, come back for the safe zone. Oh. Okay, well, I'm going over here because I'm kind of scared.
I am so scared because they can bite you.
Okay, they can bite. Okay, fair enough. Okay, cool. But you're here, still there. Because?
They're just dogs.
They're just dogs. Okay, we're going to try again. Everyone, over here. Yeah, okay. Okay, next picture. Oh. But it's a dog. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Okay, why didn't you run?
Because they're cute.
They're cute. The dog?
Yeah.
Okay, we won't get into that one right now. Let's go to the next picture, okay? Okay, laughter, but they have teeth, just like the big dog. What?
They live in the water.
They live in the water. We're not in the water. We're safe. Okay, fair enough. Okay, next picture. Ooh. Oh, hold on a second. What's the thing?
They live in the water.
Okay. Okay, so we got some disagreement here, but the idea is we're on land, they're in the water, we're safe. Okay. Okay, we need some adult help here. Anyone who's been in the Northwest for a few years? Anyone who drives a car? Oh, okay, let's get the next slide. Okay, so guys, let's sit down over here and talk, okay? But Bigfoot doesn't exist. So why would you be scared of Bigfoot?
Because he has big thumps.
But he doesn't exist.
And he's not real.
He's not real, okay?
I think he died.
Well, we'll work through that part, but anyway, fair enough.
He did not die.
Okay, so you believe...
I think
Okay.
Bigfoot is
Okay.
real.
Okay, we have some disagreement. Let's move on to the next slide, okay?
Bigfoot is
Discernment. So remember that someone noted that we shouldn't be scared of sharks because they live in the water?
Is it Bigfoot?
Or they're just baby sharks and they're a cartoon? Some things you should run away from, right? Because they're dangerous. Other things maybe not so. So discernment is the act or process of exhibiting keen insight or good judgment. So some of you that are older out there, you might have heard the word once or twice before, okay? And you're saying, why am I taking a 10th grade reading level word for kids? It's important. So when you're thinking about stuff, when you're seeing things, it's not automatic danger. It's trying to understand what's happening in context.
I know it because I saw that picture.
Okay.
It was Bigfoot.
You knew it's Bigfoot. Okay. But the thing is, bees, if they're not attacking you, right, if they're doing about their thing, there's no danger. If a shark's in the water and you're 2 hours away from the coast, you're probably safe. If Bigfoot isn't real, you shouldn't really be scared about him, right?
Or if Bigfoot is real.
Oh, okay, we'll get to that part. So let's go to the Bible. Sometimes it's hard to know how to discern what's right or what's wrong, or what's the thing to do. In this case, it's go to the Bible, right? Go to Jesus. It says, if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what the right answer is, pray. He loves to help. He'll get his help, okay? So anyway, the goal here, right, is remember, some things are big issues. You don't necessarily know the answer, ask God. Hey, thanks for your time, and you can discuss with your parents whether or not you should be scared of Bigfoot. Thank you. They're not real. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Still got the children's offering. If you guys want to pick up the pails. Good morning. Just a few announcements today. I'm told that we have February calendars are available at the front entrance. I'm not sure if they're meant to document church events and things, but ask Chris if you need more information. We have the International Food Festivals tonight, 6 o'clock.
That's it. And you've seen me through the times. Just to let you know, this is going to be a good time. I had fun shopping yesterday. So if you like trying different things, and in fact, I have a question. This is one of the things I got, and I thought, well, that'd be fun to just put out a question here. If someone can give me hello in another language, I will throw one of these treats to you. Oh my goodness, okay, heard one over here. Konnichiwa, where was that from? Well, you'll have to see if you can get it. Oh, there it is. Anyone else? Okay, come and get it. By the way, these are hot and salted tamarind pulp candy. Anyone else? And I'll tell you, tonight I have the privilege of being able to just introduce a lot of weird things. Like, for instance, have any of you tried black carrots? No? Oh, you have? I have a drink I'm dying to try from Turkey, which will have samples for people. It's supposed to be very popular, but it's got black carrot in it. Anyone else? Was there another one? Oh, come up here. You can have... Washington will come. Nancy said he can do the walking. And anyway, so tonight, we just bring snacks to share. There's going to be pupusas. And if you notice, some of you are wearing the outfits like, I love them. Bang is wearing a Filipino one. That was her sister's. I'm wearing one from Burma. Well, it was Burma back when this was made. And this is from my mom, Wyman. And Ada has one from El Salvador, Costa Rica. Oh, got it wrong. Anyway, if you have an outfit, that's grand. If you don't, just come and enjoy it and bring something to share. We are going to be frying at my house this afternoon. Samosas, because that comes with the Burma. I've grown to love the curries and everything else. And Andrew made this amazing mint sauce, and I made a tamarind one that's got a little bit of kick to it to eat with samosas. So, and Emily's going to be doing pastelitos. So she brings another culture into our home. So anyway, come tonight at 6 o'clock, and we also are going to have games. It's amazing how many games from elsewhere in the world. So anyway, there you go.
Thank you. Also, the Crosspoint worship team is going to be having their quarterly jam session. It's going to be on February 11th, so join us after the service and after potluck. We also have a note here of saving your Loma Linda labels. I've got a write up here in the bulletin that says, do you purchase and use Loma Linda canned goods? It has been brought to our attention that redemption changes have been made in our churches, not just the schools anymore, can now request redemption for all labels and that are turned into the church. The church will receive 25% per label and must have at least $100 worth to redeem them. This is for Loma Linda canned goods only. Loma Linda frozen goods are not covered. When you open any Loma Linda can, please remove that part of the label that contains the UPC code and starts with 45561 and bring it to Crosspoint. We will have a box set up for you to put the labels in. When we have enough labels turned in, we will make a request for redemption. Any questions, please contact Dick Macklin. Okay, we seem to have located the children's baskets. Next, we have a Crosspoint Galentine's brunch on February 12th. Looks like this is for the ladies only, so sorry guys, maybe they'll live stream it and we can participate that way, I don't know. So RSVP to Mackenzie, and we also have a TVA monthly video that they want to share, if you want to cue that up.
Hard to believe we're already halfway through the school year. Time flies when you're having fun. Mrs. Wentz first and second graders kicked off the new year by learning about New Year's celebrations around the world. It was a party. Mrs. Nagel's first and second graders learned about winter weather and painted winter trees with Q-tips. Their artwork turned out great. Preschool has had fun presentations from a physician and a dentist, helping them understand how to take care of their bodies. They loved it. Fourth grade is learning about writing fiction. They worked on writing their own fiction narratives this month. Kindergarten has been learning about coding using Legos. They made flashlights. Pastor Sarah stops by regularly for worship time, and they have also been learning about the Arctic and Antarctic and got to compare their height to a penguin. In music, students have been learning about music theory. They have workbooks called God Made Music, and Mrs. Humbert is helping them understand how to read music and learn about other parts of music theory. 7th and 8th grade are learning to play chimes, and 9th grade is continuing with their handbell choir. 4th through 6th grade students are part of an extracurricular bell choir, and they're learning fast. We hope that we'll be able to come out to churches this spring and share their music with you. 7th and 8th grade have been busy. They love a good competition, so Mrs. Rojas had them compete to match Latin vocabulary words and definitions. They also presented chapel this month, where they led out in worship and did a skit. In their life skills elective, they spent time learning that baking is a science, and because of that, baking recipes should be followed exactly. Their apple cinnamon muffins turned out delicious. One thing we couldn't share in December because it was a surprise, our 7th and 8th graders had been working with Mr. Blackburn in art to learn how to use a 3D modeling program called SketchUp. They used their designs to create wooden Christmas ornaments using our laser cutter. They did a great job. 7th and 8th grade basketball has been in full swing since the start of the month. They are growing their skills by leaps and bounds. There have been some really exciting games. We are most proud of their sportsmanship. They have truly been playing in a Christ-like manner. This month, 9th grade took an English field trip to the Hillsborough Brookwood Library. They toured the library, learned about the services available to students, learned about the technology behind the book return system, had lunch in the boardroom, and anyone who didn't have a library card was able to get one. Later that same day, they participated in the Oregon Conference's Night of Worship. It was great to get to worship with other students across the Portland metro area, and it was especially fun to see TVA alumni up on stage leading worship. Speaking of 9th grade, we'd like to take a little time to give you a first semester update on our high school program since it's new this year. The focus of our program is whole person wellness. We want our students to feel welcome and supported by their classmates, their teachers, and their pastors. Our goal is a hands-on learning environment that promotes problem solving and critical thinking. Students have had a lot of experiential learning opportunities this year. In September, they took a trip to OMSI to sketch and diagram Leonardo da Vinci's machines and inventions, analyzing how Da Vinci integrated the fields of science, technology, engineering, art, and math in his designs. The yearbook staff took a road trip to Pacific Union College for publications workshop, where they studied hard and built rapport as a team. They attended the Oregon Conference's Bible camp, spending the weekend worshiping God with other high school students from across the conference and participating in a lot of fun activities. We have a STEAM-focused trip planned for this spring and are looking forward to that too. Each teacher in our program has been getting to know our students, both to mentor them and to find creative ways to maximize their skills in the classroom. Mr. Blackburn is the class sponsor for the class of 2026, and in addition to daily class worship, he makes a point of hanging out with his class outside of his class time, running with them during PE, playing volleyball and basketball during lunch, and working with his class to plan fun class activities like their Christmas party. In the classroom, students are working hard. Our math and science curriculums focus on learning through collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking. In physical science, every new topic is started by creating common experiences in the lab that anchor concept development. The more advanced the student is, the deeper they go into the relationships observed. The math curriculum is structured around low-floor, high-ceiling tasks, which means that the discussion starts with common knowledge and builds from there. Students learn about math structures and symbol manipulation in the concept of real-world problems. For example, students used river water allocation between cities to study linear inequalities. They started with simple comparisons using inequalities and advanced to discussing the various complex considerations that go into deciding how to allocate water. Technology Studio is the most unique aspect of our program. In 9th grade, students take a technology overview class. This is taught in a studio environment similar to professional studios where projects are assigned and worked on in a group setting that promotes skill sharing, networking, and skill growth. Mr. Blackburn offers a mix of in-person instruction and video tutorials he produces so that students can work at their own pace. So far this year, students have learned about photography basics, vector graphics, raster graphics, graphic design, introduction to programming and spreadsheets, layout design, and stop-motion video production. Students have produced logos, pixel art, and at Christmas they used their knowledge of vector graphics to create ornaments using the studio's laser cutter. There is so much more we want to tell you about, but in the interest of time I'll be brief. Students also experience Bible taught by 4 of our pastors, language arts, PE, health class, and they are taking handbells for music. They nailed their Carol of the Bells piece at the Christmas concert. Our application for accreditation for 11th and 12th grade is still ongoing. We are anticipating a site visit from the NPUC this spring, and we're still on track for this year's 9th grade class to be our first 12th grade graduating class. Thank you for your prayers and support for TVA. We very much appreciate each of you, and you are always welcome to come see what we're up to on our website, on Facebook or Instagram, or by visiting the school. Thanks, TVA family.
All right, I believe we have one more video from our friends at Impact Hope, and then a short message.
Rwanda has worked hard to recover from the brutal genocide against the Tutsi in 1994. But refugees continue to seek safety in Rwanda from neighboring Congo. Terrorists often threaten, beat, or kill adults and children as they attempt to escape the turmoil. After decades of war, many children are homeless and missing parents or siblings.
Then they say, no, it's a trick, you are not soldier, you need to put my gun here.
Actually, that was the wrong video, but it gives you a lot of good information on the basis of why this program got started. A lot of refugees, a lot of killing. Now I'll let those guys show the right one.
If you don't
That boy there is demonstrating what a soldier did to him. Put his gun to his head and he expected to die. That boy has been educated now by Impact Hope and has hope and an education.
At Impact Hope, our mission is to empower refugee youth in Rwanda through Christian education and life-changing job skills. The Impact Hope sponsorship program currently enables over 700 young refugees in Rwanda to attend boarding school each year where they experience life outside of poverty and receive a quality high school education in a safe environment. But with Impact Hope, it doesn't stop there. For the majority of our graduates, we learned a high school education is not enough for them to become financially independent or to support family members. We have also discovered there is ample opportunity in the vocational trades in Rwanda. With the skills they learn, they have the ability to create their livelihood and become self-sufficient through starting their own businesses and cooperatives. For hundreds of young people, learning a trade has made a huge difference in their lives. It certainly has for these young men who attended culinary arts training after high school. Together, they co-own the Serious Bakery, where they sell baked goods to the community around them and are passionate about inspiring other young refugees to pursue their dreams. At Impact Hope, we began envisioning our very own vocational training center to invest further in our students. That vision led to the Center for Hope. The Center for Hope is a year-round certified vocational training campus. It provides over 350 students per year the ability to earn a certificate in trades such as culinary arts, tailoring, agriculture. We value giving our young men and women a foundation that reaches every aspect of their lives and helps equip them to serve others. Students also learn about healthy living, Bible studies, and mission outreach activities. These young refugees deserve to live not only to survive, but to thrive. They deserve to see hope come alive. By partnering with us to support vocational training programs, you are writing hope into the stories of young men and women in Rwanda. Visit impact-hope.org.
Thank you. I had a little boy up here saying that's where he's from, and he's going to go on an airplane around the world. So that's wonderful. I love Rwanda.
His name was
Medi. Medi, are you from Rwanda?
Yes.
Are you going to go visit?
Yes.
Have you been there before?
When I was a baby, I did.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm Terry Griebel. I was here, my husband and I were here 2 years ago and showed you the first video. And I worked with the Oregon Conference in Women's Ministry, and that's how I got involved in Impact Hope. I've been over there a couple times. So I wanted to show this video because we just made it last night at our team meeting, and it shows we opened up a center. It's called Center of Hope. And when the kids graduate from the academy, which they call college, they will go to the Center of Hope for about another 10 months and be a certified culinary arts, hairdressing, tailor, plumbing, electricity, welding, and then they're able to work with that business license and earn a money. Some go on to university, but to get into university, it takes a while. So to have a trade so they can work and earn part of their way is a wonderful ministry that Impact Hope has started in 2015. And I feel privileged to be a part of this. It's wonderful to be here in your international celebration. And I'm going to be at the back table after the service. I brought 10 students with me. 2 years ago when I came, I brought 8 students, and you adopted them all. And so I brought 10 this week. And to sponsor a child, it's like $50 a month, and it puts them through the academy and vocational training in the summertime so they don't have to go back to the refugee camps. And I have 5 girls and 5 boys. But I want to tell you a story of a young man I met when I was over there. He came to me and he said, I want to tell you my story. And I had no idea what he was going to tell me. But these kids are from the Congo. There's been a civil war going on there forever, and rebels and soldiers, and they target Christians. So a lot of these families come over from the Congo and go into the refugee camps. His father was in the war, and he left, and they never saw him again. And they felt pretty safe because they were by the soldiers' camp. But it started getting dangerous, so his mother and brother started walking towards the border to Rwanda. And as they were going, there was a group of people in front of them, and the soldiers put people in groups to go through. And the group in front of them was about 6 or 8 people. And the soldiers looked over their papers, and then they walked them down to the river and shot all 6 of them and dumped them in the river. And this young man thought, we're next. And he just prayed, oh God, help us. And so then they looked at his mother's papers and his brother's and his, and they told him to go on through. So definitely a miracle. They went into the refugee camp, and then these boys got selected to go to the Adventist boarding school. Each of these kids who come over from the Congo into the refugee camps, they have a story. They have a story. I know the first video we played 2 years ago told about the girls walking to high school. They'd have to walk 7 miles, and they'd get violated on the way there or on the way home. And so we have now we have right now over 1,000 kids in boarding schools and university. So from 2015, starting out with 150 kids, going up to 200, 400, 600, we've reached 1,000. And so I believe God is blessing this ministry. I believe we're living in the end times. And I think if it touches your heart, saying, Lord, this is something I can do, come see me at the back table after service. Thank you.
Good morning. Morning. Well, thank you for sharing about Impact Hope and the ministry that you guys are doing. It's absolutely amazing. And this Sabbath, we are celebrating our diversities. And I don't know how to say this in Spanish. We're going to start off with who you say I am.
¿Quién dices quién soy?
And we're going to worship together and in unity.
Amén. para mí. Soy hijo de Dios, sí lo soy. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
Amen.
Amen. I'm going to have you guys stand for our next song, Open the Eyes of My Heart. Again, we're going to start this in Spanish, but then we're going to end in English.
Abre mis ojos, oh Cristo, abre mis ojos, Señor, yo quiero verte, yo quiero verte. Abre mis ojos, oh Cristo, abre mis ojos, Señor, yo quiero verte, yo quiero verte, contemplar tu majestad y el resplandor de tu gloria, derrama tu amor y poder cuando cantamos santo, santo. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Santo, santo. Holy, holy, holy. Santo, santo. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Santo, santo. Holy, holy, holy. Santo, santo. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you.
Amen.
Amen. Isn't this beautiful? I absolutely love it.
He became sin who knew no sin. name above all names, blessed Redeemer, Emmanuel, the rescue for sinners, the ransom from heaven, Jesus Messiah, Lord of all. Jesus Messiah, name above all names, blessed Redeemer, Emmanuel, the rescue for sinners, the ransom from heaven, Jesus Messiah, Lord of all, the Lord of all, the Lord of all.
Amen.
Amen. You may be seated.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. I saw the light on, so I thought it was on. Thank you. Several weeks ago, Pastor Troy mentioned that he and two other pastors were getting together on a single topic, but each presenting different aspects of that, and that topic was passionate spirituality. And he talked to us about it 2 weeks ago, and then Caitlin from Mount Tabor Church was here last week, and this week we have Macy Weir from Tabernacle Church is going to present the third part to us. So, Macy? You need this.
Thank you, Dick. Good morning. I'm going to move this so that hopefully my Bible doesn't fall off of the music stand. As Dick said, my name is Macy, like the store, and Weir, like weird without the D. This series was born out of some presentations. We were at pastors' meetings, and Caitlin and Troy and I were all sitting together, and we said, man, wouldn't it be cool to do something like this at our churches? Hey, what if each of us wrote one sermon and preached at all of our churches, instead of all of us writing like 4 or 5 sermons? So that's how that was born. I pastor at Tabernacle. We love Tabernacle, but it is fun to visit other churches. So thank you for welcoming us here. The screaming one in the back is mine. In case you are wondering, yes, I am pregnant. I am counting down the days. I'm doing 16 days, but I was at the Youth Night of Worship a couple weeks ago, and one of my friends asked me when I was due, and another friend who was standing there said, wait, you're pregnant? And I said, maybe you need to go to the eye doctor, friend. So just in case you're too polite to say anything, there you go. My topic for this series is passionate spirituality, which is energized. And when I hear the word energized, there is an image that comes to my mind. It is a fluffy pink rabbit beating on a drum, which I think means that Energizer Batteries has a successful marketing campaign, right? But what does it mean for our spirituality to be energized? Does it mean we all turn into sunglass-wearing fluffy pink rabbits? I hope not. To me, energized means that you are not a couch potato. right? Energized by its very definition means that there is something along the lines of doing. My mother is a very small, very energetic woman who has sometimes been called Energizer Bunny. And she doesn't stop moving. She can accomplish an amazing amount of tasks in a short amount of time. And like my mom, the Apostle Paul is someone who never stopped. As we read his story in Scripture, we see that he had lots of passion and energy. And when we read about his travels and trials, we notice that there is a lot of movement, a lot of doing. And today I want us to look at a passage that he wrote together, found in Romans chapter 12. Now, sometimes at Tabernacle, we like to read out loud together. Well, I say we. I like to make people read out loud with me, and they haven't complained too loudly yet. So let's do that. I will read the odd verses, and if you will join me on the even-numbered verses. Does that sound like a plan? All right. We start off with an odd verse. So here we go. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Let love be genuine, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. There's a lot to unpack in Romans chapter 12, and even in just this little piece of Romans chapter 12. But it starts out, that first verse, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers and sisters, right? And I like that word, therefore, because it signals something. It says, because of everything I've already said, now do this, right? So what has Paul already said? Because this is our response. But what are we responding to? What has come before? So we're not going to read it all, I promise. It's a lot of chapters. But in Romans chapters 1 through 11, here's the 2-minute Macy summary. Paul talks about how God is a God who we have nothing to fear from. And Paul encourages believers to live in grace, balanced with the law, and he emphasizes that none of us is good enough. But in Christ, through faith, we are made righteous. And because of Adam's choice of sin, we deserve death, but Jesus brings life and grace. And he ends that chapter 11 saying, if God is for us, who can be against us? Jesus has set us free. He gives us the gospel of grace in those first 11 chapters. And then we come, after that rousing set of proclamations, to Romans chapter 12. Therefore, because of the grace and the goodness of God, I entreat you to do this, right? I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, by the grace of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. which is your passionate spirituality. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with a brotherly affection. Outdo one another, showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in the Spirit and serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. It's a good list. I imagine it, Paul preaching it passionately, maybe with a good foot stomp in there, right? Here is what theologian John Brunt has to say about this passage. He says, first, Paul is concerned about practical, everyday life. Second, the shape of that life is governed by a therefore. It is a response to the good news of God's grace that has preceded. So, in the context of what Paul writes in Romans, what does it look like for us today to have an energized, passionate spirituality? I think that John Brunt has described that well, that Paul is concerned with practical, everyday life, lived in response to the good news of God's grace. I like that idea, because our lives are practical, everyday lives, aren't they? So when you talk about wonderful theories and high theology, that is all good stuff. But sometimes it's hard to know what I'm supposed to do with it. How does that impact my everyday to-do list? What am I supposed to do with those wonderful theories when I have to go grocery shopping and haul my toddler with me and it's almost nap time? In verses 11 and 12, Paul says, do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in the Spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. I think that being fervent in the Spirit and being energized sounds like about the same thing. A good combo, right? You have to be excited to be fervent. You have to do to be energized. And doing is by its nature very practical. I'm a doer kind of a person. When someone I love is in the hospital or going through a crisis, I'm not very good at just sitting there and being in the moment with them. That's an important role too. But I want to do something. I want to sneak your dog into the hospital so you can say goodbye, or make you some food and bring it to your house and drop it off. I want to do. Sometimes today it feels like we live in this world of media and social media, and there's a lot of things that we see that our friends, our family are going through, our acquaintances, and we do something like write on their post, thoughts and prayers, right? But that's not all that helpful in my practical everyday life. Prayer is important, prayer needs to happen, but that doesn't help me in the crisis that I'm in. So what if instead of saying just thoughts and prayers and going on with our days, what if we were the kind of people who stopped and said, I saw your post on Facebook. I'm picking up some food. Would you like groceries or takeout? Instead of saying, I know you're struggling, I'm thinking about you. What if we said, I hear you're having a rough day. Can I pick up your kids and take them to the park for a couple of hours? The Andrews Study Bible comments that Romans chapter 12, verses 9 to 21 offer concrete examples of how to properly express one's love towards fellow believers, God, and outsiders. I like the image that word concrete brings to mind. When I was a kid, one of the families that we were friends with had a marvelous giant swing set in their backyard. We did not have a swing set, so it was very exciting to go to their house, and we liked to swing high, and when we did that, the predictable happened. The leg of that swing set started to come up and thump down. And we thought that was great fun, but the parents were not so sure. So one day, that friend, their father, went out and dug holes and concreted the legs of that swing set into the ground. And it was a very solid job. There was no more thumping after that. This passage, Romans chapter 12, 1-13, feels both concrete. It's something I can wrap my arms around. I can do this stuff. It's a to-do list. But it also, at the same time, it feels concrete and disconnected. Why does this list go together? Each item is practical, but why did you group them? What am I supposed to do with these disconnected, practical items? So let's read it again. We're starting with an odd verse again, so join me on the evens. Is that a plan? All right, we're just going to read 9-13. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another, showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in the Spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. As I was studying this passage, different commentators break this up into a variety of lists, and they have something to say, an opinion to share about each of those items, and lots of them break it into 10 or more pieces, which feels like a lot. So I've broken it into 4. Here's my 4. I think 4 is a good number. Verse 9, be genuine, cling to good. Verses 10 and 11, love well, get excited about your spiritual life. Verse 12, continue in prayer. And verse 13, show hospitality. Biblical commentator William Barclay titles this section, verses 9-13, The Christian Life in Everyday Action. So what does energized spirituality look like in everyday action? Well, I think everyday action has to include relationships. I think they're essential to what Paul is saying because it's hard to do these things all by yourself. How can I show hospitality to myself by myself? Well, that gets a lot easier when there's relationship, when there's other people. So I think you have to have some people, some relationship, if you're going to follow Paul's counsel. For the last several years, my mother has been locked in what I have called the gift war. There is a lady who lives down the road from her, and it all started several years ago when one of them, I don't know if it was the other lady or my mom, but one of them gave the other a Christmas gift. And in turn, that receiver wrote a thank you note and bought a little something and gave it back as a thank you. And then there was another thank you with another little something that came back. And for the last about 3 years, there has been a constant occasional stream of thank you notes and gifts back and forth. I will go to visit and I will say, Mom, that's a nice houseplant. I'm surprised you haven't managed to kill it yet. Or, man, this is really good tea. Where did you get this tea? And she'll say, oh, the gift war lady. And sometimes my mother gets a little frustrated because she's like, I haven't found a gift for her yet, and she just gave me something, and now I have to find something. And I have suggested that perhaps you could just not and end the gift war. That would be an acceptable response. Maybe just send a thank you note with no gift. But my mother will not do that because there is a relationship there. My mom knows this lady. She knows her life story. She knows that her love language is giving and receiving gifts. And my mom has always been someone who gives gifts well. And she knows that she is lonely and that she looks forward to these gifts that are part of this gift war. And so the gift war continues. And it impacts each of their everyday lives. Each of them is always on the lookout for what they're going to give the other person next. It impacts their shopping trips and their online searches, and it shapes their world. It is genuine, and they are excited about it. There is a relationship there. Paul Ackemeyer writes, life under the lordship of God means life under the structuring power of grace. That power transforms. The task is now to let the structuring power of grace transform that world into the shape of grace. If that Christian community, if our Christian community responds appropriately to the structuring grace at work within it, what it will display is a life of unity. It is that unity which provides coherence to what otherwise may appear a random collection of ethical epigraphs. This list that Paul gives us in verses 9 to 13, it's not just a random collection of good stuff. It is an ethical response to grace and unity at work in our community and lives. It is unified by our everyday realities of living in God's grace. When I was in college, my friend group was seemingly random. There was not a good reason why most of us should have been friends. What happened was many of us had not gone to a school where we had a ready collection of friends who came from that school to Walla Walla University. Many of us were the only one from our class, or just a couple of us from our school, who had come to Walla Walla. And a group of us got put into a freshman orientation group together. And so for that first week of freshman year, all of our meals and our activities were together, and that stuck. And so this group of engineers and music majors and graphic design majors and theology major, and there was no reason why we should have ended up together, but we did. It didn't make sense individually. But as a whole, we were a happy, rowdy, inseparable group. We were united by the realities of college and studying hard, despite the fact that we were very, very different people. And our friendships impacted that college experience. and therefore has continued to impact each of our lives. God's grace affects the whole of our human life. Not just today, not just our experience for a few years, but our whole life, including our future. An Energizer Bunny passionate spirituality doesn't just happen. Just like friendships don't just happen, you might have to be thrown into an orientation group and forced to eat meals together. Our spirituality has to be nourished. There's a book I love by an author named Lauren Winner. It is titled Mudhouse Sabbath. It's a short little book with a lot of practical wisdom, and I've read it many times. But the thing that is always my takeaway from this book is her view on going through the motions. Now, I grew up in the church, and going through the motions was always presented to me as the worst possible option. You can't just go through the motions. You have to feel it. You have to be excited. You have to have the high highs and the low lows. You can't possibly just go through the motions. That's bad. You have to be genuine and feel it, and you're supposed to be excited. So when you are not those things, and going through the motions is bad, what are you supposed to do? Well, Lauren Winner in Mudhouse Sabbath says, going through the motions, especially when you don't feel like it, is a good thing. She comes from a faith tradition that has more of a calendar and more traditions than we as Adventists do. And she says, going through those motions, continuing the traditions that have meant something in the past, but may not mean something right now to you, is such a good thing because it leaves an avenue open for God to work through. If you stop going through the motions, you close that back door and you say, God, I don't want you to come that way, and God has to go around and find a window. But if you say, I am going to commit to going through the motions, especially when I don't feel like it, the door stays open. And she shares that in her experience, when you go through the motions, eventually the meaning comes back. The feelings come back. At Tabernacle, we have just finished 10 days of prayer. And this year for 10 days of prayer, we had a morning conference call, because not everybody can use Zoom, but everybody can use a phone. And we did it from 6 a.m. to 6:30 every morning of those 10 days. I am not a morning person. I was not excited about this. I was not the only one who was not excited about this. One of our longtime members, when she heard that was when we were doing it, said, that is an ungodly hour. And then one of the last days of our 10 days of prayer, she'd been on almost every day. I was proud of her. And on one of the last days, she said, well, actually, there's nothing ungodly about this. Despite the early hour, it was wonderful to have those 10 days together, to have a new approach together, a new avenue open to God. And that felt like the takeaway for me. Not that you have to pray at 6 o'clock in the morning, but that having an avenue with brothers and sisters in Christ, having that open to God was a wonderful thing. Troy shared with me that you guys have had a cultural emphasis this month of January, and that you're having your International Food Fair tonight, right? That sounds like good fun. Culture, I believe, is also an avenue to God, right? That we can learn lessons from other traditions faith traditions like in Mudhouse Sabbath or other cultures and their approach to God. We have something to share with each other. We can always learn a new way to be open to God. Romans chapter 12 says, "Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal, be fervent in the Spirit, serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer, contribute to the needs of the saints, and seek to show hospitality." Often at Tabernacle, I end sermons with a challenge or a homework assignment, because it's easy to listen at church and then walk out the door and continue your life as you have been, right? So I like to give homework, not all the time, that would get to be a lot, but I think this is an especially good homework subject, right? Passionate, energized spirituality. We have to do something with that. We can't just think about it, ponder it. We have to do. So this is my challenge for you, that you would make a list. It's the beginning of the year. It's a good time to make a list and try out some new things. So I have taken that paraphrase of verses 9 to 13, that little list, as my starting point, right? Let's skip to the next slide. Be genuine and cling to good. How am I doing that? Well, personally, I am trying to swap some screen time for book time. I tend to make better choices in the books I commit to reading than in the stupid things I'm scrolling through on Instagram. So I am trying to do some of that. I'm trying to cling to good by swapping some screen time for book time. And then I am trying to continue in prayer. I have struggled with prayer throughout my life because of some early experiences I had, and I will not be continuing 6 a.m. prayer, not happening. But I think it's important to find others to pray with and to have some accountability in that. So continuing in prayer with others. And then lastly, showing hospitality. We are in a life stage now with a toddler where it's a little hard to have people over because the mess is real. And I am trying to make a plan and shove some mess into some back rooms and close the door and be okay with that and open the front door, right? Close the mess doors, open the front door. You probably know this from personal experience. You go to someone's house, you don't care how messy it is. You have them over to your house and suddenly it matters a lot. It doesn't matter to other people. So we should be a little more flexible with that. Your list will probably look different than my list. But I want it to be practical, and I only want it to be 2 or 3 things, because that's how we fail when we say, I'm going to make this huge change and start doing all 12 of these things. It gets to be too much. So to me, those 3 things, a little more book reading, a little less screen time, some more prayer, have some people over, put the mess behind closed doors. That feels practical. That feels doable. That feels like spirituality in everyday action. Maybe your list includes a gift war. Maybe your list includes something that you think would be the most helpful to you, so you do that to show love to others. What can you do for someone else? And my challenge includes this: you gotta write it down. It can be in your notes in your phone or a sticky note next to your steering wheel. It doesn't matter, but you've got to write it down because, at least in my world, if it isn't written down, it doesn't exist. I am very good at forgetting. So that is my task for you this week. Make yourself a list shaped by grace and practicality, something that you can be energized and excited about doing. Paul writes, "Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in the Spirit, serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation, and be constant in prayer." Would you bow your heads with me? Heavenly Father, as we have explored this idea of passionate spirituality, we invite once again your Spirit to be with us on that journey. It is a journey. And we pray that you would come alongside us, that you would guide that journey, especially as we look at being energized, being excited about that journey. Guide us, be with us, and thank you for the others on that journey with us, for our brothers and sisters here today. Amen.
There's a name that can silence every fear. There's a love that embraces the heartache, the pain, and the tears. Through my faith and my doubting, I know one thing for sure. His word is unfailing, His promise secure. Todo va a estar bien.